All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
Hey, welcome.
All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
Well, that intro is so good, we'll play it for you twice. But welcome to NorCal Sports Network. Giants postgame here. It's Lou and I tonight. Dan is traveling back from the Philippines, so he'll be, if he's not too jet lagged, he'll be back early this week for sure. And we're going to break down the Giants' big win in game one of the series with the Rockies this afternoon. But first, let's give some love to our sponsor. The show tonight is brought to you by Chapman Law Group, located in Marin County and licensed in all of California for all your legal needs. Do you have a personal injury situation? Do you like getting taken advantage of by an insurance company? Of course you don't. That's why you call Chapman Law Group first, 415-613-9483, and let them know that NorCal Sports Network sent you. Lou, how's it going, buddy?
Good. It's good to be back. I actually was up in Reno at the Peppermill, and I actually saw our Sacramento River Cats twice, and boy, was it brutal. I don't know. I spoke to Eric on his show, and then I tried to write Dan. The little confusion, guys, on the holidays, so we apologize for everything. I was out of town. Dallas, thank you for being a sport and sort of taking everything on your shoulders, especially with Dan out, I'm out. But I went to go see the River Cats on Friday and Saturday. The River Cats lost Friday 5-0. And they lost Saturday 11-1, and it was one of the most brutal games I've ever seen. I actually asked for a refund, even though the tickets were comp. The Giants struck out 18 times, Eldridge 4 times, Fitzgerald struck out 3 times. I mean, it was an embarrassment to all embarrassment. So I even wrote Alex, excuse me. He was saying, "Oh, it's the first. We're bringing up all the guys," and it's like, dude, I don't want to see any of these guys from AAA anymore. I don't want to see any of them. It was
lucky they didn't bring up much. They brought up
it was just very hard to watch.
And McRae.
Yeah, McKay. Yeah. So, it was, in fact, that game, McKay struck out 3 times too. So between him, Fitzgerald, and Eldridge, that's 10 strikeouts that I saw. That was one night, by the way, not both games combined. So I just wanted to bring that up. But the good thing is the big club came back.
It's like all the bad play just kind of trickled downhill to AAA.
Yeah. So, but hey, I thought today was, it was a little bit different, especially with our injuries to the pitching staff. So, they had Tang come up, and I've never seen a team being out hit, but up 7-2. And I guess, the rest of the season, we're really going to live by the long ball, it looks like. But, I thought Tang today, even though he got in trouble, boy, he was like Houdini. It seemed like I think it was the first, the second, the fourth, the fifth. He sort of he hung in there, and he let the offense come through, and they got the win. And I thought it was a great way to start off the road trip. How about you, Dallas?
He went 5 1/3 innings, and he gave up 9 hits, and the 2 runs were given up after he was taken out. But for the most part, he didn't give up any runs. But 9 hits. The Rockies out hit the Giants most of the game, but couldn't drive in any runs. He had 8 strikeouts, which was good to see. I was worried, going into this series.
Wait, what is his pitch? Is it the sliver? They just his curveball, the sliver. I'm not even sure what it's called because it's so unique.
It is unique, but it's some type of slider. But a lot of times sliders in Colorado at elevation don't slide.
Yeah,
that's why had a lot of movement on it.
A lot of movement.
Maybe it's because he has a little bit of that sidearm angle But for whatever reason, it slid pretty good. He was getting a lot of movement on that pitch, and that's how he managed to get those 8 strikeouts. But the biggest stat that I thought really helped him out was 0 walks. You give up 9 hits. If he had walked 3 or 4 guys, I guarantee the Rockies would have put some runs on the board. And that just not walking, not giving away those free bases, really helps limit the damage and allows him to get out of those situations. So,
and I thought he used the umpire wisely too. That umpire was sort of all over the place, where he wasn't even calling inside the box. But I thought what was good about him is he used it to his advantage. And, with him, if he doesn't get that slider or sliver over, then he's strictly on the fastball. But he was sort of back pitching. So when they were expecting a fastball, it was a slider.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were expecting the slider, he stole a few with them. So, that's maturity. I think this was really only his 3rd start, and then, of course, he's 4th either. So it was good to see, especially in Colorado where, for the first game of the road trip, we only had to use 3 guys. If you would have saw that we gave up 13 hits, you figure we would have used half the bullpen, but we didn't, and we got the win. So I thought that was very nice. And, I know go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And this was the game I was most worried about. Obviously you still got to go and play the next 2, but you feel a lot better with Webb and Ray going the next 2 games than you did with Kai Tang this game. So to come out and put runs on the board and back them up and get the win in this first game to set the tone of the series, I thought was really important for the Giants.
And I thought today being such a great holiday, the Giants are back to 500 for the first time in a long time, and now we can actually talk to them as a team. You guys, some people in the chat like last week were all excited. Oh, the Giants won 2 in a row, but when we're still 6 below 500, that's not really talking much with the very end of the season. But and I say this stat a lot. It's who you play when you play. They just had a real tough road trip against the Cubs. We came off sort of a really hitting power against Baltimore. We're going to Colorado where we should hit. And, St. Louis today had their best pitcher go, so we might not see him. So really, this could be a real good road trip where maybe if we get lucky, 3-4 games over before we come back. So that's something where, we want to look positive. And, I know we're going to go over the game, how it all worked and the players of the game. But, the one good thing, too, is the Giants are giving some of the young guys a chance and they're performing. And, if the one thing I want to see at the end of the season is the Giants aren't going to be a playoff team, but let's see what we have on the youth. So at least either we know what we have in 2026 or what we have to work on to get to be in 2026 more of a contender and not really a 3rd or 4th place team. So, I don't know how you feel about that, but, it's nice. Some of these guys, are playing good defense. I know one of our players of the game is going to be talked about where, he had 3 hits yesterday and today he had 4. And, it's sort of hard to remember a Giant have 7 hits in back-to-back games, combined games in a long time. So, maybe one of these things, if the whole season, say we don't do well, maybe through a trade, we maybe found a little rough. The one thing I am getting a little worried about is we've seen this like when we first got Yaz. I don't want them to think, oh, this is the next superstar. He's our replacement in right field. I think he's a great player, but you got to play more than just a month to be on a major league team. You know what I mean? Being a starter.
Sure.
So I just want to bring that up. But, why don't we go on the game? You can start it up, who the starting pitchers were, where it was, and we'll go from there. And then we'll pick our players of the game. Dallas, what do you think?
Sure. So the game tonight, it was we already talked about Kai Tang. The Rockies, they're not a good team, and it's good when you can actually beat up on a team like this a little bit.
Agree. And really young. Boy, they're bringing all these young guys up, but I like it. But go ahead.
Yeah. And they came out of the box and got the offense off to a hot start with Devers hitting a home run in just the second at bat of the game, of the entire game. Devers' first at bat, and it was just a laser beam, 115 miles an hour. He hit that ball.
That's a shot.
down the right field line. It was the hardest hit ball for the Giants since they started keeping track of how hard you hit the ball. So that was a rope, and my God, that's some power there. That was crazy. So that was good to see. So they got that early lead. Kaiwei Tang was pitching well, and they tacked on. They tacked on runs in the third and the fifth and the seventh. Every odd inning they were scoring, putting some runs on the board. So they, despite the fact that the Rockies were getting hits, in fact, they out-hit the Giants 13 hits to 11, but only managed to score 2 runs on those 13 hits. So that
Who does that remind you of a little bit? Especially at home.
Reminds me of the Giants.
Yeah, exactly.
The Giants were 4 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and during this hot streak, I mean that is what they have turned around. They have been able to figure out how to get those hits with runners on, and then also the strikeouts. Only 6 strikeouts tonight for the Giants, and that's when they're not in double digits. That's a good sign.
I completely agree, Dallas. And the big killer is when you don't walk anybody, you make them put the ball in play. And we had 3 huge double plays, really all at huge times, which really knocked the other team out from trying to score. I mean, it seemed like they had runners on the first 5 innings. I mean, every inning, but the double play helped. And when you do that, and then you come up and you score, and then you get that shutdown inning. I thought today was really a great game. Again, the long ball, and what's scary. And again, I know we might not count it because he started in Boston, but next homer by Devers will be 30, right? So I know it might have an asterisk, but you also have Adames, where right now with him, he's 26. If he gets 4 more, we'll have 2 guys with 30. And here we are complaining about having 1 Giant with 30 homers. We actually might have 2 by the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't think they don't count the Devers because he had 15 in Boston, but
correct.
But Adames,
we can count it on NorCal Sports Network.
We'll count it here.
Yeah, we'll count it here with an asterisk.
Sure. Yeah, might as well. We'll take it. Hey, but yeah, Adames, you think he gets to 30? I mean, I wasn't quite sure, but now he's hitting 1 every game. So
yeah, he's 4 away, and with the schedule. I mean, you got to remember you're playing in Colorado, so you can maybe at least get another one there. So then you only have 3 the rest of the month, maybe 2 more.
2.
Yeah, that's just the way the ball works there. I agree. So yeah, I think that's.
And good. I wouldn't be surprised if Devers hits another one. But the Giants have hit a home run in the last 15 games, I think it is.
Yeah,
it's a long streak where they've been hitting with power.
I agree.
Maybe someone will correct me if I got that wrong. But so that was good to see. And then you mentioned Gilbert. I mean, he went 4 for 4 today, and following up 3 for 5 yesterday. So he's on fire, and which is good to see. But he forced Luis Matos out of the lineup today, and they sat him for a game. I was hoping Matos would be playing every game because. Since he's the 12 games since he's been back, he's hitting 415 with an 1188 OPS. He's been on fire. So maybe they're going to have to get both of those guys in the lineup and maybe have Ramos DH.
So Dallas, here's my gripe. So tomorrow we're going against a lefty. You have a guy that's 7 for 9. You're going to sit him? Is that what you're going to tell me?
I wouldn't.
I know that, but I'm just saying this is what sort of frustrates me, with Melvin. Stop going by the book. The book hasn't worked ever since you've been here, okay? So do what the fans want to see. We want to see both these young guys play. It doesn't matter if I don't like one guy sitting, especially when he's 7 for 9, where he's seeing the ball. And I thought today what was great about him is he didn't try to kill the ball. In Colorado, those outfielders play so deep. All you got to do is sort of fungo it, and the ball is going to drop every time. Like Ramos made an incredible defensive play where, he made a great, it was Lee, I think. No, was it Ramos or Lee made an incredible play early in the game? That ballpark is so big because of the altitude. Just hit it you're going to be rewarded. The one thing about Melvin I didn't like, and I wanted to bring this up for last night. So the Giants have a problem with pitching. Okay, we know that. We're not even sure who our fourth and fifth starters are. Okay, let's just be realistic. It is. So yesterday, Verlander, they did whatever it takes for him to get a win. In 5 innings, he pitched 121 pitches. The guy's 475 years old. A win is not necessary. It's the most he's ever pitched in 7 years with his injuries. He hasn't pitched more than 120 pitches. We're doing this in 5 innings to get him just a win. Don't like that unless it was all Verlander's idea. I thought Melvin, you're up 7. The win.
I heard the interview with Melvin.
I didn't hear it. Why don't you tell me what he said? Because I was at the Firebirds game and I was amazed.
He said normally that Verlander will kind of give him a look as he's coming back to the dugout, if he's like, about ready to be done. And Verlander didn't look at him. Like he was going to get a win and he wasn't going to be taken out of that game. So he let him stay 121 pitches and got the win. But boy, I mean, that's having to put in some work
9 innings,
to get
it's
through
5
innings.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that, I could understand that, but you know what? He better respond his next start. If he comes back his next start and gets rocks destroyed, then you know what? I've completely lost faith in Melvin, because if it's Verlander's idea and he says, hey, I might retire, I'll do whatever it takes, that's one thing. But, Melvin has been known all year keeping these guys in way too long, 2 extra batters. And, it's one of the things. These guys aren't young. He's old. I know he's been sort of screwed, but, we were up. He was, I know you got to go 5 innings, but sometimes you got to worry about him. Now if they're going to say, hey, Lou, you know what? We're going to give him an extra day off. That's fine. But I don't see Melvin ever explaining that. You're telling me in the interview he didn't come look at his eye? What the hell is that crap? What is it, 2014 when you were with the A's, when you were actually a decent manager? Because you know what? if you're whatever, I wonder why you got kicked out of San Diego. Because I think you got to do what's best for the team, yes. But when you already have the win and the guy's 42 years old or 43, however old he is, you got to worry about him because we're going to need him. The Giants are sort of on a roll now, and you're only down to 3 pitchers. You can't really ruin a guy. I'm just saying, if it was 9 innings, that's one thing. But in 5 innings, my God, 120. I think was it 124 or 127? I can't remember. It was yesterday.
121, I think. But yeah.
Okay.
It is a lot for 5 innings. You're
it is, and
right.
I just wanted to bring that up. It's just one of those things where I know it's you might not think about it, but at his age, and you got to remember, Giants are starting to be 500. We're going to need him the next start. It's not like it's the last start of the season where he's off the rest of the season. I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it was a bad move because the one thing is, when I went to the Reno Aces game, there were a lot of Giants fans there, especially being the holiday. Everyone wanted to see Eldridge. You want to see these guys. And then they had one of the guys was like Dan, had fantasy. So, he kept watching the pro game. And I'm going, hey, how many pitches does he have? He goes, oh, he's like at 120. I go, what? So I just wanted to bring that up. It's one of those things. So,
well,
yeah.
So
and Anthony, I never want to see 3 openers again. I never want to see 3 openers. That was an embarrassment to baseball. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Dallas.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like that he was able to tough it out and get the win, but I hadn't considered that was 120 in 5 innings, not 9, so that is a lot of pitches for that. I kind of think they baby pitchers, and that, back in the day, going 100 pitches, it was no big deal. 120, 130, it wasn't that big of a deal. And Verlander's kind of an old school guy. I think, he's probably been there, done that, and can handle it. But I'm going to make a note here on his next start. If he comes in and he doesn't have it and he gets shelled, then I'm going to come on and say, Lou, you were onto something there. So,
and when you say that, I'm going to walk right off and I'll be done. And you'll be stuck with Dan. He'll go, why is Lou leaving? He goes, look, you're not going to believe this. Well, yeah, let's go over and let's go our player of the games. Dallas, since you held the fort, you get the honor. Let's and by the way, a little update. Texas leads the Diamondbacks in the 10th inning. 7-5. So that'll help the Giants, since they were right next to us. But, let's go over the players of the game. Could be a good day for the Giants because, the Padres are losing. Fortunately, the men, what can you do? Who's the main thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Exactly.
Let's start with the players of the game.
So players of the game, I'm going to go with number 3, Kai Tang. I was worried going into this game. I thought the Giants might lose this game, just because last start, I think it was the last start, but he got shelled at one of those recent starts and didn't look good. And now it's like, no, now he's going to go pitch at altitude, and the movement on his pitches isn't going to be there. Wrong. He did fine, and the 0 walks is what I really give him credit for. So Kai Tang is my 3rd star. Second, I'm going to go with Devers for the laser beam to start off the game. Just murdered that ball. That was great to see that kind of power from him, and I bet he loves hitting it in Coors Field. So Devers, hopefully he's got another home run tomorrow, and we can see if he can beat that 115. And then the number 1 star, we'll go with Gilbert. Man, that kid had a hell of a game. 4 for 4, 2-run homer in the 3rd inning. And not only that, but he was on base and he was jumping around and causing the pitcher to disengage. And he threw over, and then he ended up basically forcing the pitcher into a balk because he had a 3rd disengagement and got a free base. And then it didn't matter because Adames, someone hit a home run. I think it couldn't have been Adames. That doesn't make sense on the order. It must have been, where is it?
So they had
Ramos. Yeah, Ramos got out, and then
so Devers, Adames, and then himself hit with the 3 homers on the day.
Right, it must have been Adames' home run. Because he got to second, and then Adames hit the home run, and so it didn't matter that he made it to second. But I like the tenacity of him on the base paths. And then, they bring a lefty in at the end of the game, and, the righty-lefty matchup, he gets a hit off the lefty too, just for good measure. So he's got to be in there tomorrow. If he's not playing tomorrow, then I don't know what. And Matos should be back tomorrow. So I expect we'll see Ramos at the DH tomorrow, and we'll have all 3 of those guys in there. We'll see, but he had a heck of a game.
All right. Well, before I tell you my players of the game, we have a super chat from Mr. Thorkill. Jim says, Lou, I think Melvin should be fired. It was his stupid moves that got us into this hole. He did the same garbage in San Diego. Well, Jim, if you've been following this show, what we did is we actually had predictions at the early part of the season. One of mine was Flores would hit 30. I said that Melvin would be fired before the trade deadline. I don't think he deserves to be the Giants manager. I think the problem with Melvin is he's almost too old school, if that makes sense, Dallas. And I didn't like him as a catcher as a Giant. I thought he did a great job with the A's. I thought he did a horrible job with the Padres. And I think the Giants need something new. If we're going to have Buster in charge, and we have someone like our boy Gilbert who's giving high fives and he's showing the love of the game, sort of like a young kid, sort of like Gilbert reminds me of how the team was the first month of the season. They were playing well. They weren't worried about the playoffs. They were having fun. If somebody did a play good, they'd all do high fives. He's sort of bringing back that kid's mentality, which the Giants have been lacking. And I think that's due to our older guys not really coming through and, more worrying about the paycheck than playing. And I'm not being cruel. It's just that, these guys weren't showing their talent. And the other thing about Gilbert, too, is it only seemed about a week ago where it's like, oh, my God, why are we playing this guy? He can't hit. But it's amazing when you get 7 hits in 9. His average now is up to 261, where I think he was batting like 096. I think he only had 1 or 2 hits. So that's why you can't really talk about batting average until they've had at least 100, 150 at bats, because it just takes a couple games again, 2 hits, and all of a sudden, you go up. But Jim, I'm with you. I don't think he's the type of manager going to take us to the next level, which I think we need. But we appreciate the $5. Let me go over my guys. I thought, one of the guys I got to keep talking about is Devers. I know we've been riding him. It's amazing when he's hitting these homers, you don't hear about his back or any of his problems, So I think that was just sort of a hearsay, the same thing with Chapman, just to protect him, which is fine. But, my number 3 is going to be Devers, my 3 stars, because he got it all started. I think it's big. I think the one thing about, if you notice a lot of these Giants wins and they're playing good ball, is they're always getting the lead. It's not like they're down 2-3-0 and then they come back and score 4. It's amazing. They're getting early runs and then they're adding on and then they get the shutdown inning. And when you do that, you're going to win and you're going to win and you're going to win. So Devers is my number 3 star. My number 2 star, and I know I ride him a lot, and I'm going to give it to Adames. Another big game. I think the thing about Adames is he's not going to hit. Okay, his batting average is going to be there, but he's getting key hits in the key situations. I like it when somebody goes 2 for 4 with 3 rips. Okay, the other thing too is some of these homers just recently aren't all solo. We got into a point where the Giants should have 2 solo homers, 5 hits on the day, and we lose 5-2. I sort of like when we get home people on, and that makes it actually a real homer in my mind. I don't like the solo homers. They're great, but I like it when you get 1 poke and you score 2 or 3 runs. And then my number 1 star, you got to do Gilbert. I think the one thing about Gilbert is it's amazing in 1 week how you could just get the confidence up. I think a lot of it too is we don't realize how much pressure is when you get called up. He had his parents there. His dad, I think, flew 16 hours from the Philippines. The one thing about the Giants is, do me a favor, Giants. Not every game is sold out. When a father flies in from the Philippines, get him fucking better seats. Not this lower reserve crap 25 rows away. I know a guy who might be able to say, hey, you want to sit 4 in the front row so you can see your son? Giants, get your head out of your ass and reward a kid, because it only happened once. And that's why the father flew 16 hours. Don't give him these horrible seats where literally the cameraman has to actually find them. And then the whole time is let them enjoy the game. And I think now that he's gone through it, he doesn't have people asking for tickets, all this. He's having fun and you see the results. And I think it's great for him. I think it's one of those things. Now, the one thing is, I don't want the Giants, especially guys on our chat, saying, we have our new right fielder. Okay. First of all, he played center field before. I know he's hitting now, but it's only been a couple weeks. As Dan and Dallas will always say, the league will figure out his problems, and then he's got to adapt to the pitching because the pitching is going to find flaws in him. But it sort of reminds me of last year when we had Fitzgerald, where, Fitzgerald had that probably good month where people were going, oh my God, who is this guy? Now we know Fitzgerald's back in AAA. So reality sometimes comes through. But regardless, a great, great outing for him. And, I think you brought up a great point, Dallas. The last single, after you already hit the homer, was against a lefty. So I think the Giants tomorrow, especially with Webb, is, give them a chance to get another win and play them both. Now you're going against a lefty. So the other thing is today, and we got to say it, is the Giants struck out 6 times, but 2 of them were against Bailey again. So it's starting to get sort of he's at 206. By the time he comes back, he's probably gonna be under 200. He's going maybe 1 for 4, a lot of times 0 for 3, but he's striking out way too much. And the thing about Bailey is when he strikes out, it's not like he even swings and foul tips it in the mitt. He just misses the ball. And I think that's something where, in the offseason, the Giants are definitely going to have to look at. They definitely need upgrade. I think Bailey would be a great number 2 catcher. But, we can't have somebody where, this is getting really bad. But, it's one of those things where, the Giants aren't winning with, it's all about framing. We need some guys who can put the ball in play. And I wanted to say that. But, overall.
When the Giants are hitting, it's a lot easier to just cover up for Bailey. He's not nearly that bad. But when everyone is when runs are at a premium and hard to come by, then it becomes an issue with him in there.
And
But
and
today
Dallas, I have not heard about Schmidt on the hit. Have you heard anything?
X-ray was negative.
Okay.
It's just
He'll probably be out maybe tomorrow, or maybe both games of the series, and they'll have him for St. Louis, perhaps.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're gonna. Poor Schmidt. I mean, he gets hit so much, and he's always getting hurt, and then his X-ray is negative. They're gonna do an MRI just to be.
So
sure.
that's the other thing we're gonna have to bring up when Dan gets back. I know he loves Casey, but for a guy that's only sort of playing part-time, he's been injured a lot this year. So if we do get his thing and Chapman is traded just in the offseason, and we have Casey the whole time, he's got to stay healthy. Okay. I'm just saying, he's playing part-time, and I think if say it's bad and he goes on the DL again, maybe it's just rough, but I mean, this is like 3 or is it 4 times he'd go? You know what I mean?
They need to get some body armor on him.
Yeah, there you go. So
just come up in a whole knight and armor suit, and then go ahead and hit me, because for some reason he's a big target, and he gets hit quite a bit.
All right. So tomorrow,
go
ahead. Yeah.
One thing about Gilbert, I did want to mention that the Giants brought him up. His family was there. I don't think he got a hit the first day. He may have got one the second day, but he got it off to a really slow start.
Yeah.
A bloop. But they didn't pull the ripcord on him and send him back. They kept him up and gave him other chances, and now he's worked himself into a situation where he's hot now. I don't know that the previous regime they probably would have sent him packing, just a slow start, and then he would have been back down in AAA. So I do like the fact that they're giving him a look, an extended look, and it's starting to pay off. But you're absolutely right. The league will adjust to him, and he will have to adjust back. And you can't just anoint him the right fielder of the future right now, because he will have his struggles. Everybody does.
I agree.
So anyway, getting into tomorrow's game, Logan Webb, he's been really good lately. The last 3 starts, he's got a 1.8 ERA. He's been going 6 2/3 innings average his last 3 starts. So he's pitching real well, and hopefully he can keep that going tomorrow in Colorado. They're facing a left-handed pitcher, like you said.
Kyle Freeland.
The Giants actually have, I think, won their last 3 starts against left-handers. So, and this guy is a lefty, but he's not a great lefty. I mean, he's a Rocky, to be fair.
Yeah.
But his last 4 starts, teams are hitting 300 against him. He's got a 4 earned run average. So he's given up at least one home run a game. So he can be got, and the Giants need to keep this heater going and get to him early and keep tacking runs on the board. In Colorado, you have to keep adding on, because strange things happen, and all of a sudden the Rockies score 6 and they're right back in the game. So you can't let them up playing in Colorado. You have to keep the pedal to the metal.
So we unfortunately can't put the standings up. So the Giants now are 69 and 69. Okay. Yes. So 138, which means there's 24 games left in the season.
Yep.
All right. They are 5 games behind the Mets, and they're 1 game behind the Reds. So, hopefully the Reds have a tough time. They're playing Toronto. So the Giants got to take advantage of playing Colorado when the Reds are hosting Toronto. I'm sorry, when the Giants are playing at Colorado and the Reds are playing Toronto, because most likely, they could split. But if we could, get on a little roll, and then St. Louis, who's a game and a half behind us, I know they're having a tough time, because again, it's the schedule. Everyone plays the same schedule, but it's who you play when you play. I mean, I know I say that a lot, but it's true. I mean, we have they're playing the A's, and the A's are on fire. I don't know what else to say, but the A's are playing really well. So, St. Louis has the A's, and then they have us, and then I don't even want to talk about the road trip. So St. Louis, might be done. But, as for the Giants, guys, there's very, very little hope. The problem you got to remember is we need to win and the Mets need to lose. Now, the one thing about the Mets is they started a 10-game road trip. So, this is how we had, I think, a 13 or a 12 game. This is their last big road trip of the season. So,
right. And they got 2 more against the Tigers,
yep.
a good team. While the Giants
and
are
Screwball
playing 2
pitched yesterday, so he's not gonna have to go get the ball.
Right. The Giants have 2 more against the Rockies while they have 2 against the Tigers. That's good. They go to the Reds. That could be tough. Then they got 4 against the Phillies before they go home. So they have a tough road trip, the Mets. And if the Giants really can't control what the Mets do, so they just have to worry about winning the game each day. Just win, just go out there and play a good game every day. And then maybe next 10 games from now, see where you're at.
All right. And then Dallas, I have to ask you with the start of I don't know if you're a college football fan. I was in Reno, and yes, I was in a casino. So, a lot of great games tonight. We had North Carolina hosting TCU, and the coach, one of the GOATs for North Carolina, got off to a 7-0 lead and then got blasted at home. People were leaving in the halftime. Former New England Patriots coach, of course, is now with North Carolina. Michael Jordan was there, but in case you weren't watching, it was last time I saw it was 41-14. I think it was not even that close, but yeah, UNC got smacked. And then over the weekend, guys, week 1, a lot of teams, I like these teams that take a chance. I love that the rivalry is back. Miami, Notre Dame. For some of you guys in the chat, you might be too young, but at one time, that was the best rivalry in college football. Notre Dame, Miami. The U was bigger than Notre Dame, USC. That's how. It was great. They have a 30-30. The Catholics versus the convicts. So it was good to see college football is back. But that doesn't mean NorCal Sports Network isn't going to be here. One thing I know, Dan's a big Cal fan. Because of his brother. So I know we'll probably be having some special guests later on once college football goes. But as we all know. I hope you guys don't forget about us because, this weekend, Thursday, NFL starts. And, of course, the Niners play. So, especially like with Hot Corner, guys, beware. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure we go because when Niners games, Dan's going to be on, probably with Larry Krueger. Me and Dallas we might be doing the show ourselves because maybe Dan's doing the show, with Larry Krueger. But we're definitely going to be following the Giants. If the Giants play, there's going to be a post game for us.
Yeah.
Am I right, Dallas? And hopefully,
Yeah, that's exactly. And this is one of the best times of year in sports is when you still got baseball and then football's here and it's a good time of year. So we'll be getting into all of it. Yep.
So, all right. Well, listen, Dallas, like usual, man, you're solid like a rock. Thank you again for filling in. I'm back and hit the like, subscribe button. This way Dan will see that actually people follow the show and that maybe he'll, rehire me in Dallas next year. We have player options, but team options. So maybe he'll come back and say, hey guys, I want you for one more year, but we really appreciate you guys being here on a Monday. Hopefully everyone had a safe holiday and we'll be back tomorrow.
Yep. We'll see you then. Good night.
Good night.